Welcome to the Self-Storage Show, where I have conversations with my industry friends, talk with owners and vendors, and share tales about my management company, 3 Mile Storage. Let's go. Well, cool. Well, thanks, guys. This is the first ever, Q&A with Jim and Jim. So I appreciate you guys making the time and jumping on here and actually pretty much being on time. So I appreciate that. What's up, Jim? Thanks for joining me and actually being a willing victim to come on and do this with me.
Told you, dude. We've done so many webinars and things together. It's always energized when we get in here because we say something and you can see the look on each other's face like, oh, I didn't try that, or I should try that. So it's really cool. And I think this Q&A format is going to be great for everybody because, we all share and we all help each other. So.
And we've had that same outlook for as long as I've known you of giving value. We've been there, done that, but at the same time, we're have enough humility being like, I don't know, but I know someone else that may know that answer, or asking that question, and as a collective group, hey, we'll figure it out, or at least have a good educated guess on stuff. So that's kind of when I was thinking of coming up with this idea.
Just think about it, Jim. How much has changed in the last 3 years doing this storage?
Yeah.
So we're always learning, we're always evolving, we're always tweaking, we're always trying new things. And I have a phrase I use all the time. And one of the things when I consult everywhere, when I ever hear, well, that's the way we've always done it, just drives me nuts. Like, try something new.
And I think we've been good about that, try and learn it from others, trying different things. If it is working, awesome. How can we actually, improve on it? We're always trying to break our systems a little bit and trying to improve on what's working and what's not. That's kind of the purpose of this Q&A. Yes, it's us two. I think I will be talking for most of the time, but I would love for people to be able to jump in with your own 2 cents. If you have your own questions, please probably raise your hand or put it in chat, and then I can call in and highlight you that way as well. I've been on enough panel discussions when it's been like, hey, any questions out there? And it's like crickets because no one wants to say a word. So I've pre-populated a bunch of questions just to at least get the ball rolling. And, I'm in this to learn. You're in it to learn. We're all in it to improve our operations and all that.
Absolutely.
But let's just this is our first episode and we got still people jumping in. Take 2 minutes, Jim. Just kind of give me, hey, how you doing? Give me a little synopsis of the Jim story here, and I'll do the same.
I'll go first. Okay. Jim Mooney Jr. I'm Vice President of Operations, Freedom Storage Management. I've been with the company going on 5 years, almost 6 now. I've been in the industry about 24 years. I started as a site manager, just like you, Jim. And I think that gives us a lot of value that we understand what it's like to work behind the desk, and we understand the nuances of what the managers do every day. And we can use our experiences and our knowledge. Now, back when we started, everything was paper leases and hand, knuckle buster credit card machines and no internet and fax machines. We've come a long way technology wise, but having that background, I've been doing a lot of consulting around the country lately, helping other operators out there. And it's fun because when, for you and me, when you can see the light bulb go off in somebody's eyes that they understand what you're saying, it's a win. So helping educate people. I see Max Valton's shiny face on there from Georgia. He shout out to Max. He's the new president of the Georgia SSA, right, Max? Congratulations, Max is coming. I remember when I first met Max, Max was like, well, I'm just a mom and pop operator from Georgia. I'm like, no, you're not. Because he was doing a lot of things technology wise. And Max is a shining example of, whether it's 1 store or 100 stores, you can do things right effectively. If just using technology out there. So for me, it's helping people out and speaking and attending the shows and learning from everybody else. So you're up.
All right, I'll give you the minute version here. Again, like you, kind of follow the same path. I started as a manager 26 years ago. I had to do the math just a couple of days ago doing an interview, and I didn't realize it was that long. It made me feel freaking old. But was managed a couple sites at the same time, moved up to regional, did that for many years, lots of traveling like you do. and then been doing third-party management now for about a decade or so. And then I do this kind of stuff because with the summits and doing these kind of interviews and these kind of sessions, these Q&As and writing books and all that kind of stuff, I like to give value and learn as much as I can from other people, and then kind of have some sort of platform to let other people know about it. And that's kind of where the Self Storage Show podcast came from, because it gave me an opportunity to kind of talk more one-on-one with people rather than just a 5-second drive-by hi at the conventions and the shows. So it's fun.
By the way, not to put you on the spot,
What?
I traded you a bobblehead for a signed book, but I never got my book.
Which one?
You were sending me a book.
All right, I will get you a book. I promise.
You got your bobblehead, so I get my book.
Yeah, I got your bobblehead right next to my Motley Crue bobbleheads. It was like a perfect. I have a bunch of weird characters around my office, so it was like it went perfect for that. So anyway, that's kind of the genesis of this. Is just really having the Q&As that I want to learn from. We'll learn from everybody else. Let's just jump into it. And frankly, I'm going to be a little selfish and start with my own question. So this is for you, Jim, and anyone else has anything to jump in, please let me know. Because this literally, I just had a conversation about an hour and a half meeting with the owners. And it's one site I've managed for many years now. And full transparency, I think, along with other people, you might feel the same way. Occupancy is drifting down. It's not like it's been the last couple of years. Occupancy is going down. Demand doesn't seem to be nearly as strong as it was before. And you couple those two things together, and you're kind of on a little downward spiral. To make it worse, literally right next door, I mean, I could put my arms out and touch our property and their property. A brand new competitor is coming in like 3 months. Looks like about 3 months away from opening. So right at the height of spring here. So now I got that to deal with. All right, Jim, put on your consultant hat for a second.
I just went through this last week in New Hampshire, right? I mean, in my own organization, we track everything, right? In 2023, we were down 2,000 inquiries from 28 stores from year over year. It's a lot. So what we've told, our focus has been, look, the gravy train is over. The days of people just calling and renting online are done, right? We got to go back and put our sales hat on, and we got to sell people. So when that phone rings, when the inbox dings, or your front door opens, you got to have your A game on and be ready to solve that person's need, because you don't wake up in the morning and say, maybe I want a storage unit. You need it because you need it because you need it. And you need to be able to be responsive, because one of the slides I've used in presentations is the response time is key. If you're not responding back to them within 15 to 30 minutes, they're on to the next person. We are in such a need it now society that people aren't going to wait. And if you don't have an answering machine, I see Sherry on here from XPS. If you have an answering machine in your office, you're losing. If somebody's not answering your phone, whether it's in office or via a call center, you just missed that opportunity, because they're not going to leave a message. I mean, realistically, if I show of hands on here, I mean, realistically, in the chat box, who here would leave a message on a voicemail for a business? Nobody. You're on to the next person. So you have to have your A game on. And now, question for you, Jim, is this owner an owner that's only been around since COVID, last 2 or 3 years? Because that's a big difference I've seen, that people who've only seen the gravy train part of it don't know what normal is.
Little anomaly, because they were kind of in a smaller town, and they built just in time to as the city was building. They were kind of able to ride that wave. So we hit, out of 600 some odd units, we hit 90% occupancy, like within 15 to 18 months. And then we've been riding that. So they've seen it, degrade. Now that it's starting to degrade, panic is kind of setting in at the moment. And so it's a matter of, I think it gives us opportunity to talk about, best principles. And that's first and foremost is answer the freaking phone. I can't tell you how many times I'm calling and it goes to voicemail and they don't answer.
The company I just worked for 2 weeks ago, they have 11 stores. I called and shopped 5 of their 11 stores. Not one person took my name. Not one person took my number. Not one person logged me into their software. So when we had the in-person meeting, and here's the question I ask a lot of people, and even we're going to talk about it in Florida next week. What is your length of stay at your store right now, and what is the true value of a rental. And so when we started talking about that in the meeting and saying, listen, at that organization, we were saying a rental is worth anywhere between $1,800 to $3,200 a person. So when that phone rings, it's not like, oh, I missed a call. No, you missed about $2,000 in value. So when you start looking at it a different way and perspective wise, how much is that? How much are you spending to make that phone ring, and how much value are you losing if you don't close that deal? It puts a different light on it.
And dovetail that with, what are you willing to spend to acquire the customer to get the phone to ring? So yeah, if you don't mind, what are you currently doing, or have you always done? Try anything new to really focus on?
Well, I know it's not a popular conception, but we still use Sparefoot as one of the lead aggregators, because in my mind, if you're not on their page and people are going there, I can tell you last year, Jim, my 26 stores, over 1,000 rentals came from Sparefoot. And if you're not there, do you have an opportunity to get that rental? So when I actually looked this year, I did an analysis. You know me, Jim, we're numbers guys. My average cost for a Sparefoot rental in 2023 was $130. I can't pay for that on Google, pay-per-click or Google ads. And actually, interesting, I was talking to a gentleman that really made a lot of sense. It really made me stop and think for a second, because pay-per-click ads are great. All the Facebook ads are great. They're all fantastic. But most people miss the boat when they don't maximize the free Google Business Profile page to its full extent. And that's free. It doesn't cost you anything to do that. So making sure
we're going on tangent real quick. I gotta stop real quick on the Sparefoot. And again, anyone else has questions, pipe in, but I'm just trying to think what else as we're listening. On Sparefoot, do you have, I mean, if you can't tell on this kind of show, we're gonna be just laying it out. We're not gonna be like, we can talk in generalities. No, screw that. We're talking specifics. Is there like a threshold? Like right now, my minimum's like 200% of a finder's fee for Sparefoot. Sometimes I can justify a 300 on a certain size code, but is there a certain percentage you're like, nope, I'm out. I'm not gonna.
Right now, I can tell you, Jim, every one of my stores, every unit's available right now. But again, maximizing your Sparefoot presence, making sure your pictures are right, your reviews are current, your closing percentage. They look at that algorithm changes all the time. But when they're looking at click-through rates and closing percentage, that helps your algorithm. So I can tell you that I'm paying less than people are bidding higher than me, but I'm ranking better because I have better numbers. So making sure you understand how it works is the biggest part of it. But for me,
that comes from what, like I said, it's a pictures, description. What are you doing?
Making sure I have I go through, look at my account all the time, make sure I got quality pictures on my website. So anything on my website matches my Sparefoot pages, right? Any pictures, my reviews. I want to make sure that I'm getting good reviews, even on the Sparefoot reviews. I want to make sure you can send reviews out to Sparefoot people. Make sure your review count is high. Then making sure you're ranking right. But the most important part, it goes back to what we just talked about, is answering the damn phone and answering the email when somebody calls in, because there's a real need there. And if you can improve your closing percentage on Sparefoot by answering the needs, that helps your algorithm as well. So making sure you're understand, you got to understand all the data points. So for me, like when we were talking pricing last week, well, for me with pricing, I need to know I really don't, shouldn't say this, I really don't care what my competitors are doing, because we're going to be better than them. But I want to know where they're at. But I also want to know how many inquiries I'm getting, what my rate increases are doing. All that is a piece of the pie that helps our rates. And if you don't have a part of the data, how can you make a good business decision?
Okay. All right. So optimizing again, I'm just focusing on getting that phone to ring. You mentioned reviews. Frankly, that's always a big one for me as well. I mean, when people are looking for storage, they don't know.
I can tell you, we just
they're looking at reviews. So go ahead.
We signed up with a new review platform, right? And one of the things that I didn't realize is the better your reviews are, the better it drives traffic to your Google Business Profile page.
Who are you using?
We are using, I think we talked about this yesterday. I'm using 𝐇𝐢𝐠𝐡𝐥𝐢𝐠𝐴 from storagereach.com. And I can tell you, in the month of January, 256 rentals, I had 121 reviews.
Yeah, that's the sheer numbers. And then again, that's another reason why I want to do this as well. call out vendors too.
Yeah.
Of the ones that we use. So feel free to ask us. It's not going to be like, oh, we'll email you later and tell you. No, we're just going to tell you who we
Yeah.
use.
Well,
That's
it's right, but I mean, there's so many out there. I mean, and like I tell people all the time, reputation.com, there's Bird Eye, there's all these different ones. I chose one, Storage Reach. It's a smaller company I'm working with. And again, if anybody knows me, knows I like to drive the bus. I want to control, I want to help build and create, make this thing better for us. So the better we get reviews, the better it helps everything out. And 𝐤𝐠 showed me a statistic that as your reviews increase, your Google business profile page benefits from that, because you become more relevant to Google with more accurate reviews. And again, for anybody who does reviews, make sure you get reviews with comments, not just a star rating. People want to read reviews, and Google crawls the reviews. So if you got that, also make sure that my managers occasionally will put their name on there. Manager, they specify the manager, hey, Jim did a great job helping me out today. Or I see Damon on here. Hey, Damon did a great job helping me out with a question we had on our protection plan. All those things, just for us. I mean, Jim, when was the last time you took your wife out to a restaurant somewhere and didn't look at the reviews first before you went to the new restaurant?
I'm supposed to take my wife out to a restaurant? Crap. Okay. No.
Hey, she sent me money to make you say that. So
come on, I just celebrated 25 years, so I'm doing something right. No, exactly. I always get the analogy of Amazon. Frankly, it's like when you're on Amazon, what's the first thing you look at is the reviews.
The reviews.
Same deal.
Well, it's the same thing. Christina Avellino's got one of her Fine View Market got one of her little mugs that says, "Hey, it's an older one, but where's the best place to hide a dead body?" On page 2 of Google, because people aren't going that far. So you got to make sure you're relevant and higher up on the pages. So, for the audience, when was the last time anybody did an incognito search for your own store to see how you're ranking? It's eye-opening. And not just Google. And really, it's interesting because Bing is making a comeback with all the AI chat.
Yep.
You have to make sure, and I can tell you, we have a store in Oklahoma that we're using another management, just testing them on her. Google ranked perfectly, but Bing didn't show up because something wasn't right. Yeah. So just like, all the voice texts, who's Apple use? Apple Maps. If that's not right, they can't find you.
This, again, we can go off so many tangents on this, but I just want to kind of focus on this with getting the phone to ring, because yes, you're exactly right. And with the SEO stuff, I hear this a lot of like, I'm already paying for SEO. How good is it? How effective is it? I've actually been utilizing another third party that has nothing to do with a Storable or any other sites, kind of to go in and dig and give me like an SEO report. And it's kind of eye-opening.
Here's a question we ask all the time. Do you have a tracking phone number on your website, Jim?
Yeah, of course.
But but a lot of people don't. They're like, well, I don't need one. Well, you want to know how, because the thing is with websites, the website companies are out there are great. You can track clicks, all the people getting to the website, but if somebody picks up the phone and calls you, you lose everything. But by having a tracking phone number on your website that goes to your store, or better yet, to the call center, you can capture that information. It's recorded. You can hear it. And I always say, who likes to hear himself, recording their phone call? I know I don't. But not only that, we talk about it all the time, making the phone ring, but are they getting logged into the software? Because you could have 25 inquiries and not log them. I can tell you back in the day, I had a store in Chicago that we mystery shopped the manager there, using Mercantile Systems, the shopping company. Yeah. He failed 3 physical shops in a row. He got a 0 because he never logged the lead into the software. We fired him. Because if you're not logging it in, it doesn't count.
Not your conversions. Anyway, for the sales again, so I'm just kind of keeping a little mental checklist here. So SEO for your website, Google Business Profile optimize, Spreadfort optimize, focusing on reviews. What am I missing? What else can I do to get the phone to ring here?
Well, it's the other thing is, like, when was the last time anybody tested their phone on the website to make sure it's going where it's supposed to go, or make sure all the links work on your website? If you go on your website and you have a right now or reserve now button, test it, make sure it's going where it's supposed to go, because these things will break. You might have your phone going to the call center on 3 rings, and something happens with the phone companies, and all of a sudden it's 9 rings before it goes to the call center. People are hanging up. I can tell you, we quarterly check all my phone numbers to make sure to ring where they're supposed to ring.
Yeah, and that's just part of being acting like a customer and tracking the customer journey and seeing where the pitfalls are. That's you've seen it. None of us are perfect. Things break. It does, but you have to.
When was the last time anybody, even drove up to your property and viewed it as the eyes of a customer?
No, exactly.
I love when you doing all your consulting. You pull up to the property and there's 2 parking spots in the front of the door, and the manager's parked in one of them.
Okay, I got a question for you. Sorry, just popped in my head. Since we're talking about sales, getting the phone to ring here. Do you do much when it comes to the good old guerrilla marketing style? Like, Ann Ballard kind of comes to mind when it comes to that kind of stuff. But any of that?
We were so full for the longest time, Jim, we didn't. But here's the other thing. We talk about it all the time. You cannot, in my mind, you cannot create demand for storage. You either need it or you don't. What you want to do, you want to be there when they need it. So visiting apartment complexes is a great thing. Being a member of the local chamber of commerce is a great thing. But when you're 95% occupied or 90% occupied, there are things. I mean, I found it better working with moving companies or truck rental places. I'd rather spend my time there.
Call a moving company and just be like, "Hey, dude, just have that conversation of referrals, and it's worked it out."
Yeah. And you always want to have more than one.
We've all gotten lazy for the last few years, so that's why I want to bring this up, because we're going to have to do everything we can to get the phone to ring some more. So that's a good one for moving companies. Yeah.
I mean, you think about it now. I mean, the most of our traffic now is digital. So if your digital presence isn't good,
sure.
I mean, I had a client I was working with, and he wasn't happy, and all of a sudden he's freaking out because of his price. He thought his prices were too high. I had to lower prices. I said, start talking to the managers. So people walk in the front door, are they renting a unit? We had to rent a unit. Phone's not ringing. So he's got a beautiful website. Problem was, he used a website company that's not a storage specific website company. So they didn't know the nuances of storage, which I think is critical. And you couldn't find them. So we started doing some work with him. We introduced him to another website company, and his presence jumped dramatically. There are several great website companies out there. I just earlier mentioned Christina from Fine View Marketing. You got Christina Powell with Storagely. You got the Steve Lucas's group's Click and Store down in Georgia. There are Tommy Wynn from Storage Pug, who works with SiteLink. My guys at Go Local, who work with the bigger companies. There's plenty of options out there. Talk to them. And one thing I tell people all the time, when you hire a vendor, it's not sign it and forget it. Hold them accountable and make sure you have quarterly calls or annual calls.
Yep.
Make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing for you. You're paying them for a service. Make sure you're getting the service.
Yeah, especially when it comes to the SEO stuff, because again, I hear from it all the time. It's like, I'm paying for it.
Shannon just commented from XPS. Your vendor wants that as well. Thank you, Shannon. That's fantastic. But Jim, I did see in the comments there was a big question back here from Amber. I want to make sure we get to that before we run out of time.
Yeah, we will. In fact, I'll do that right after I do this real quick. I just want to give you guys a free resource. So look in chat. I'll put it in chat there for you. When we were just talking about the SEO stuff and getting the phone to ring and being optimized as much as possible, this is something I see quite a bit that not enough people talk about. That is very important. Citations. We all know about. You've heard
keywords,
name, address, phone number, name, address, phone number. That's what citations are. And the more listings that you're on, and you'll see when you put your address in there, it's a free listing. Type your address in. It's going to give you a free report. Most of these listings, you're like, no one's going to go to that website to find a unit. I know, but the more listings that you're on that has that consistency, it's going to help your overall domain authority to get ranked higher.
Well, also like backlinking. One of the things we do, we use Alana Ross from StorageAuctions.com for our live auction, our online auctions, right? Yep. We backlink on their page. They backlink to us. Just creates more traction, more visibility.
Yeah, that's a whole other strategy of just doing the vendor partnerships. Yep, get those links going. Okay, let's make sure we get to this question since we are doing a Q&A show. Wow, that's a long one. Amber, do you want to come on video and just give us tell us about it, or do you want me to read it? I'll have you unmute.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. We have a renter, and I've had this problem before, and it's always taken months and months to resolve because the property manager is unwilling to do an unlawful detainer for cost reasons. And I'm not sure what, so this renter is supposed to be out by tomorrow. And he, ever since the notice was sent, he has stopped coming, stopped calling, stopped. And I know what he's going to do. He's going to say, "Oh, I never got the notice." That's what he's going to say. And he's just been difficult for, he's been here for years, but we transferred him from 2 small units to a large one because he was starting to get on his feet, but it was the pre-liens and late fees and everything is cheaper for 1 than it is for 2. I thought I was doing him a favor. However, he signed a partial payment agreement, hasn't paid any of those partial payment agreements. He's been caught sleeping in the unit. We put him on restricted hours. He's been caught violating those hours. And every time we deal with him, it's just an argument, a mess. I think I'm being singled out. Well, we've never done this for anybody but you. So yeah, you are singled out. You're lucky. And I get like an upset stomach just thinking about having to deal with him. And we want him out. And I don't even know what my rights are after tomorrow.
Right.
Can I overlock his unit? Can I consider his property abandoned, or do I have to go through the legal resources, which my boss will not pay for?
So the first thing you can do, Amber, I would never, ever, ever do a partial payment agreement. That just, really sets you up for a recipe for disaster. If the person's living in the unit and they're violating your lease, you can do an immediate vacate, serve an immediate vacate. Now, there are some rules with that, and I would highly talk to like a Jeff Greenberger or Scott Zucker about getting them out. But once they don't pay, make sure, now you're in California, follow the guidelines and lock him out of the unit, deny him access when he's supposed to be denied access, and then take him through the auction process. Do not take a partial payment because you know that's not going to work. Take him through the process. And thankfully, the associations have done a fantastic job with our lien laws that we can get somebody out in most cases within 90 days. So
He's
don't
current.
He's current.
He's current on the unit he's in, but he owes over $400 on the 2 that he moved out of.
Well, see, I mean, right there, I would not see, in my world, we never transfer somebody. We make them run a new unit and everything has to be paid current.
That was my fault. I didn't realize he was current. I thought he was going to have a transfer balance, and it was totally my fault. However, he is violating still. He's been caught at least 3 times sleeping in the unit, fixing stuff, loitering. He's here for like 8 hours a day, like 5 days a week. It's awful.
I would serve an immediate vacate and go that route. And I would talk to one of the industry lawyers about the next steps. You can go that route. I've talked to Jeff a couple of times. He's a fantastic guy. Scott Zucker is a great guy to work with. But don't, and again, Bob Copper, Jim, you and I both know Bob. Bob's an industry icon, right? And one of Bob's favorite line is avoid the isms. So you treat everybody equally the same. So as soon as you start bending the rules, he's got you. He knows he's got you because you bent the rules. So take a firm stand. It might have to be, you know what? I would add, he's liable for those accounts. That past due balance should be on his account somewhere. Technically, he's past due. So I would check with one of them to see if you can use that past due balance as a thing on there, because even though he's current on one, in most states, I know my lease says if you're past due on one, you're past due on all, so we can deny you access. So there might be some things. I would reach out to one of the legal experts and see what they say.
I reached out to the legal services at CSSA, and every time, and I do mean every time I send them a question, they go, "Well, without knowing more about it, we're going to have to charge you a detainer fee of $350 an hour." And my property manager is not going to pay it. And I never get a clear answer. I did send in something to find out if I could transfer those balances on to the new unit because the balances are still in there. And they said, I wouldn't recommend it, but if you want us to do more, you can pay $350 an hour.
I would reach out to Jeff Greenberg or Scott Zucker and see what they say. I would go to Jeff and say, hey, on the webinar, talk to Jim. We use Jeff Greenberger's late to lean process for our auctions. Very, very worth the time and effort for us. We don't deal with a lot of the auction headaches anymore. But I would take that route and go there and see what options you have. But
it is within our right to lock them out, right?
As long as your lease says it, and that's the thing. Who wrote your lease? You know how old your lease is?
We just updated it, and because he's in violation by sleeping in the unit, he is in violation of the lease.
Then you should be able to deny him access. Yes.
Okay.
But again,
Great.
We are not legal experts, but I would reach out to the ones who know that one. So I would do that. So that's what I would do. Jim?
Okay.
And I feel you. I have a few locations that are, let's just say, trouble locations that are, very.
We had a guy sleeping in yesterday.
Kind of stuff. Yeah, and it happens. My recommendations, and again, we're not lawyers, but we've been there and done that in different cases. Is definitely he's already in violation. Overlock the units. You're not getting in. You're done. You got to remove your items. Just curious, how big is the unit?
10 by 20.
See, I knew you were gonna say that. Dang it. Okay.
I sent him a letter telling him that he would not have access unless he showed up with a truck large enough to take away everything in the unit. But I think even with a large truck, it's going to take more than a couple trips. But I was thinking about just saying you have this day to get it done.
Yeah, in my point of view, you're not going to see a buck. You're not going to get any of that money back.
I just want him out.
Don't just want exactly. You just want him out. You're like, hey, dude, you're overlocked. You can come back. Like you just said, you can come back when you have a truck. You got 24 hours. You rent that U-Haul, whatever it is. You got 24 hours to get it and leave. We'll call it even. If you're not out in 24 hours, now the collection agency is going to be on your butt. You're going to owe all this money back. Threaten that way.
I was saying, Jim, same thing. We have a move-out agreement that they sign. It says, we're accepting zero right now for you to take your stuff out of the unit. But the last line says, we reserve the right to collect this balance at a future date. And we do use a national collection agency based in California that has done a decent job for us.
Okay. And I have one last question. Do I have a right to know whether I'm claimed as an exempt or non-exempt employee? And when that changes, do I have a right to know that?
Being in California, I would not know the answer to that.
Either.
Right. I'm so
I would
sorry.
check with your HR department or check with an HR company that knows that information. I would assume you would have to. Now, again, every state's different with their exempt and non-exempt rules. And I'm not up on California because I don't have anything in California. I don't think I want anything in California.
You don't.
But I would check with them. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. So real quick, Christy Brooks, you came on here and asked about avoid the isms quote. Bob's got a famous line, avoid. So Bob says you're going to avoid any isms. He says sexism, racism, any of those isms that could get you in trouble. If you treat every customer the same way, you're going to avoid them because I can't do I see just on my screen, I see Linda, Terry, Claire, and Gail. I'm going to treat them all the same way. I'm not going to waive a late fee for one if I can't waive it for the other. I want to avoid all the isms. So it could be, in today's socially everybody's sensitive society, there's too many to go into. But if you treat everybody the same way and you hold your policies and follow your lease as it's written, you're not going to get in trouble.
I'm just looking here. I know you've mentioned some, Jim. Maybe just put it in chat. Terry got a question about website builders.
Yeah.
And feel free, anyone else that's on here, please. Again, that's what we're here for. It's collective effort. If you like your website, getting SEO out of it, getting communication. If you're happy with the service, cool.
Well, it also depends on realistically, some of the website companies work better with certain software. So it depends on what software you're running. Yep. I mean, like if you have U-Haul eMove software, you're really handcuffed to the U-Haul website.
What do you got, Terry? Is it silent or storage? I remember talking to you before, so I'm trying to remember. So if you're listening,
Yeah.
I want to say it is, I want to say it's storage.
I mean, Storage has their own website, which they're totally working on. I'm not personally not a big fan of. Storagely's got a good one. Go local, depending on the size of your company. Storage Group's another good one. Fine View Marketing with Christina Avellino and her crew. They're all, I mean, there's so many out there that are coming around. It's pick one that works best for you. Because look, like I tell people all the time, Baskin Robbins make 31 flavors of ice cream because you know what? Somebody wants this or chocolate or vanilla. Pick what works for you. Come on, my cat's walking across my desk. Sorry, guys.
That's hilarious.
I mean, Max got him on here. Storagely, Storage Bug, Store Local, Lighthouse Storage Solutions with Josh Huff. He's newer out there. The Storage Group's a good one. And again, Fine View Marketing to the list right there. I mean, hold them all accountable. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's got different spends, what they want to do. Everybody wants, some people want the best, you know, all the bells and whistles. Some people want, you know, I see websites that have rental pages. Some people don't want the rental page. Some people, you know, it depends on what you want.
And
But
all the
they're all out there.
I know I love my owners out there, but sometimes you're cheapskates. You get what you pay for.
Exactly.
Say, guys, and especially with websites. I mean, I remember again, we're old, Jim. Yellow Pages. Remember spending like $3,000 a month on Yellow Page ads?
How about the double truck ads that cost you 10 grand?
What is that?
Double truck ad is both sides.
Both pages? Oh, okay.
Both
Yeah.
pages.
I never heard it called that before.
Oh yeah.
Insane. But owners, they were like, well, it is what it is. I got to do it. And we've kind of gotten spoiled on that. I mean, look at the marketing budgets we have now. It's nowhere near what it was back in the day.
And the bad thing with the Yellow Page, you made a mistake on the Yellow Page, you're done for a year or 2 months, 2 years.
Yep.
Now you make a change, you can change tomorrow. We're changing prices left and right. We're adding features. I mean, on our website, we actually added something to our website. It's a button that says build your storage unit. There's a company out there called 𝐞𝐢𝐠𝐡𝐥𝐢𝐠𝐡 that will help you build a storage. Because remember, guys, it's still 50% of our clients have never done this before. So when they call and say, I want a 10x10 storage unit, they don't know what they want. I'll give you a funny one. I was at a store not too long ago. Lady walked in, whole story. She's getting divorced. She's moving out of her house. She's got a 4-bedroom house she's moving out of. And all of a sudden she's, you know, they're quoting 10x25, 10x30s. And she's, oh my God, I can't afford that. I sat there and asked you questions. I said, is everything going into storage? She goes, well, no. I said, is your bedroom going? She goes, no. Are the kids' bedroom going? No. Is the living room going? No. We wound up getting into a 10x10 and saving her $170 a month because we asked the right questions.
Yeah. Yep. They're getting so much better. You mentioned Storagely. You know, I went through a couple of demos with her stuff and very user friendly, very focused on conversion.
Their dashboard's incredible.
It's cool, huh? So, yeah.
Yeah, you know, data geeks like me go crazy for stuff like that, man.
Yep. Data. You kind of follow through, going back to the ROI of tracking where that customer come from, what's your ROI and what you're spending. It's pretty cool. They've come a long ways. But my point was earlier is going back to get what you pay for. I mean, for your website, you're going to live and die by your website and functionality and being able to be seen. So,
well, think about it. I know we got Sherry on here and somebody else from XPS right now. Monthly cost for a call center is, you know, $300 to $500, right? You know, if you get one rental a month because of the call center answered your phone, it just paid for that service.
Yeah.
For the year.
And they do gate codes. They do, you know, all those things. Shannon, was that you chiming in
That
there?
was me. Paid for it for the year. I came on with a cold. I've been muted and hiding because I don't feel well and I look icky, but yes, it is. When you were talking about Jim, I was amening you. You couldn't hear me about marketing spend. I 100% believe that your call center should be included in your marketing spend because you put so much effort into making your phone ring. If you do not answer a prospective tenant's call, you're just driving down the road and throwing money out the window. It's crazy. And it's just, I mean, it's like a gym membership. Like it's it's not expensive in the big picture for an entire facility.
Well,
So-
Shannon, plus the other benefits. They're going to answer the phone. They're going to take payments for you. How many times do we get a phone call? I forgot my gate code.
all
You
of
don't
them.
want that phone call at
Listen,
9 o'clock at night. We
I don't-
use the 𝐉𝐢𝐦 locks to get the overlocks released to them. They can take questions. They can answer directions. So it's not just they're getting you a rental. It's a full service thing. And if you talk about hourly employees, a call center is somebody that's always going to be there.
Right. It's a part-time employee that works from 4 to 4:04 p.m. and 7 from 7 to 7:17 p.m. Good luck scheduling that when you need it, right? Like you can never.
100% agree.
And we always talk about prospects when we want to, right? Obviously, we're here to rent storage units, but 80% of what we do are your current tenants.
Mhm.
80%.
I can tell you, Shannon, we actually in our organization, if the customer wants to pay my manager over the phone at the counter, they
Oh,
have to pay a phone payment fee. Not
should.
because I want the money, I want them to either paying online or paying through the IVR.
Yep.
So when we take over a new store, and manager call, well, you can't charge me late because I tried to call and you didn't answer the phone.
I sure can.
I sure can, right? And by
Yeah.
using the call center with the IVR, it's their
Yeah.
whatever, they can pay online. And so if you have to pay my manager, you're going to pay a $5.95 phone payment fee because it's an inconvenience for us.
Got it. Got it. Add an app and you're like, that's the trifecta. Pay online, set up auto pay, use the automated payment system, use our mobile app, all free, or you can call me and pay me.
Thank you, Shannon.
All right. I'm going to mute again. Love you.
Aw, can you feel the love? All right. I gotta use my wheel. Come on, I put the questions in the wheel.
Yeah,
so
put a wheel up. Go.
we gotta try the wheel here. Let's see. Gotta humor me. Du-du-du.
Make it a good one now.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right. Y'all see it? Du-du. All right, let's try here. Didn't do that before. All right, let's see. What does it say? What key elements should be included in a site audit for a self-storage facility? That's a biggie, but
That's like a 3-hour conversation, Jim.
I know.
The biggest one for me doing site audits is, because we have a financial responsibility to ownership, is making sure all the money's where it's supposed to be. And not only, the money, doing walkthroughs to make sure all the units are where they're supposed to be, and then auditing my top 3 would be money, a facility audit, make sure the walkthroughs, every unit's accounted for where they're supposed to be. And then the third one will be diving into the leads to make sure we're handling the leads right. That way we're following up on what we talked about for the last hour.
Yeah, I mean,
They're my big 3.
Well, let's break it down for just for a little bit. So when it comes to a financial audit, obviously you're looking at what's hitting the bank versus what's being collected, online in your storage software, and see if there's a discrepancy there. Do you get this a lot? I get this a lot from owners going, "Why does it never match?" I'm like, "Well, that's because you're always going to be a few days off because of your collections and."
Well, I found out by having my credit card batch at midnight when the software closes, it's a lot more close to being accurate.
Is it?
But the same thing, like going to the bank, make sure they go to the bank where if they're getting checks and cash. I don't know who's still taking cash, but going to the bank on a regular basis, make sure that goes in there, make sure reports are. And for me, Jim, it's simple things like making sure that the system's set up that certain people can't do certain things. Like we don't want to be able to, void receipts. Certain people have to have the responsibility to do that, because I can tell you, I did an audit for somebody one day where the person was taking payments and they were, gave the customer a receipt. They walked in there, they voided it and credited it off. So the money didn't match. And again, not that you go looking for things like that, but
Yeah.
When you have a business that's got a lot of cash in front of you, back in the day, we had a lot of cash, more checks now, but making sure things are done right.
First thing I tell people when I do, try to get rid of cash as much as possible, and then I'll ask them about their auctions. And that's still something a lot of people still doing is doing their auctions, but they're allowing people to come in to pay in cash. That's the number one thing I've seen. Oh, that's so easy of being like, oh, this unit sold for $100, not $500, and then pocketing it. I've seen that over and over again. So eliminating cash as much as possible will actually save a ton of headache just right there when it comes to doing the financial audits. It's a lot
You
easier.
just make sure the software is configured right, that you can't be waiving fees and discounting, waiving late fees and stuff like that. Make sure everything's accountable for. That's a big one.
Yeah, well, go into that real quick. When it comes to, little settings for, the manager who's there doing the payments, you can put in there as far as like, you can't waive the rate or
Well,
waive the
I know in
fee.
SiteLink you can set up the things where the managers have. You can actually set up where there's limits on how much they can waive per manager, how much you can waive per customer, per account.
Yeah.
And then there's things like, like in my world, managers cannot void a rental. They cannot void a payment. They can waive some late fees, but again, again, going back to the isms, we treat everybody the same. We don't let manager A do something we don't let manager B do. Everything's the same. We have a system in place that these are the rules they follow.
And putting that in place, not just, and again, I'm not saying the worst of people are stealing. It's a matter of, it just tightens things up. Frankly, you'd be amazed how many people that's just the go-to knee-jerk reaction. Oh, I'll waive that for you.
Well, all you need to do is talk to Carol Mixon on one of her sessions on how what she's caught in auditing stuff. She's got stories that
horror stories.
Yeah. I mean, but it goes back to the walkthrough, right? Make sure you print a walkthrough and do a physical walkthrough to make sure everybody's in there. I've seen properties where there are units rented on the side for, under the table deal, that there's a lock on a unit that's not in the system. I can tell you, it's Friday morning. I've been getting my unrentable report from my managers. So we look at unrentable report every Friday to see what units are offline.
Oh, that's great. So either unrentable or under maintenance, two different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but doing that one, but simple things like Jim, like looking at your gate log. If you find, I run a gate log report. How do you run a gate system versus a software system? Make sure the right people can come in and out. If you don't, you should have a very good gate software. Right now, SpiderDoor is my go-to. Aaron, I love his keypad, especially on my remote properties where I don't have to have internet. Cellular-based keypad. The dashboard tells me who's in, who's out. I can look at things. I can run reports. Having all those things tied together, that you need to have those.
So yeah, I know we're just hitting the highlights real quick, but we want to get some questions. But again, so we got operations, sort of kind of going through the customer journey, financial audit, a couple quick little tips there. Then the marketing audit, I look at that as well. We've kind of gone through that as well, but just going through and making sure where leads are coming from, or is anything you can do to optimize better? Are you got the photos? Are you asking for the reviews? That's a whole audit process, in and of itself.
Well, even in the marketing thing, a lot of these softwares have pinpoint maps. I was just on a webinar from Chris Bennett, did one the other day about how to use a pinpoint map in Google to tell where all your customers are coming from. And I asked the question, we like to overlay our competitors so we know where our competitors are. So if we say we're getting a lot of thing here, we're competing against this guy right down the street, but we're getting all the customers from around his building. So we're better. So knowing where your customers are coming from as well.
What do you think makes you better? I mean,
we answer the damn phone and talk to people.
Okay.
It's not rocket science, dude. What we do is we sell space. If you answer the phone and you take care of your customers and you do things, I can give you an example. We took over a store in Manhattan, Kansas. It was 60% occupied, right?
Yeah.
It was run by a management company who did apartments. As of the other day, we're 96% occupied because we went online, we had a website, we answered the phone, we called people, and we had people who were paying their bills late because they could never find somebody to pay. They didn't have an online payment process.
Oh my gosh.
You make it simple for the customer to interact with you. Being digital, online payments, call center payments, auto pay, texting programs. We use StorePass, the new Zach Bolton's product, the StorePass. Has a map right on your phone. When you go on a property, it pulls up and shows you where you're at.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Just curious, would it be beneficial for people if I put together like a quick little audit checklist?
Yeah.
I could easily do that. Those for those of you that are here, be a nice little thank you for joining us. I can do a quick little my audit I do for my manager clients is literally like 18 pages long. But at least I can give you the good highlights of what to look at. Because if nothing else, it'll spark ideas that you may not have thought before to look
Dave
at.
and I did one. We did a session, and we put together a checklist for taking over a property. When you're taking over new property, what are you looking for? So we've all learned from each other. And actually, it's funny. I was working with Dave this morning on our presentation for Florida, and I showed him a form at dinner. He goes, "Dude, that form's been around forever. Everybody's used that form at one point in time or another. We all have. But if it works, it works.
We all not steal, but we all borrow from each other.
Borrow. We share.
Share.
Unless you're in orange stores, and orange stores don't share. But for the most part, everybody else does.
Well, and again, it's part of best practices as well. I mean, if it works and does the job, then why not? You know. So
well, think about it. I can tell you, Jim. I can reach out to Peter Speckenagel, Kurt Kleindes, Safeguard, Dave Cooper from Storage King. You know, there's the list could go on and on. I call people, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? We all help each other out.
No, that's
I mentioned Ben.
right?
We had Max Valentin was on here when we did our session the other year. We had him on there as a single store operator because from a one person perspective, what do you think?
Oh, true. Well, I had you on mute, but you can unmute yourself.
Who?
Yeah, as a single store operator, I mean, you've got to know how to compete with the big boys, and don't worry about what everybody else says. You can do it.
All right, I got to bring this up since you brought up the big boys. You said the words because this just came up during my owner call I had this morning. I know you're all feeling it as well. Their fire sale prices of just being like, hey, just click here and rent the unit and you get the best deal in town. But we all know in 3 months they just jack them up, and it's insane how much they're doing it. But they know the stats. They know how many people are going to be leaving, and they know they're still making more money than they ever have. But the little guy, it sucks to go to that level and being like just having to compete on price to people click to rent.
Jim, how many people actually know their length to stay right now?
Say it again.
How many people actually know their length of stay at a property?
Oh, not very many, frankly.
I did one for one of my stores, right? And I'll share some stats. Average length of stay is 22.76 months. Then I went and started breaking it down by we talked earlier about spare foot. My length of stay for spare foot is almost 18 months.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I'm
I mean,
4.5 years.
Stay, yeah. Max, what was that? How many?
4.5 years is
Raise your
average
rates,
length of
dude.
stay.
Raise some rates.
Okay.
I try to, but as Jim said, I'm within a 5-mile radius. I've got 22 stores surrounding me. Street rates, I am pretty much the highest around the area, and I do go up on my tenants. Street rates, I'm the highest, but my length of stay is 4.5 years right now.
Max, I'm gonna put you on the spot. How much has your business changed in the last 2 years since we started doing all these things together?
It has changed a great deal. It has changed a great deal. I have changed Jim Ross, I'll tell you. I was at a site link dinner, and I was asked, describe your facility. I said, I'm just a mom and pop, and I mean, Jim Mooney cussed me out. He said, you are not, you adopted everything, and it changed my whole mentality. And I'm 36,000 square feet. That's my one facility, 36,000 square feet, 270 units. And I've been doing it for 18 years now. It's what I've learned. I've changed it, and I used to be a shy kid, going to different meetings. Now people are coming to me looking for advice and asking questions, and it makes me feel good. Thank you for the kind words, Shannon.
No, that's fantastic. I'm just curious. So with that kind of competition, if you don't mind me asking, how are you doing right now, occupancy wise? Are you seeing it drift down a little bit? Are you still going strong?
I'm 88. Just printed my monthly reports yesterday. I'm 88% occupied. Economic occupancy 95%.
Oh, geez.
So
awesome, dude.
So I'm just plugging along.
No, so you're sitting in the right spot.
I've got the I use DaVinci Locks, no key. I've adopted technology, but the reason I've adopted technology is I'm 1 mile from the military base, and it's home of the Cyber Command Center. So I've got a bunch of computer gurus that know what they use and like. So I've adopted the technology to make their experience better.
Hey, Max, real quick, not to put you on the spot, but you got to tell a story about when your manager quit.
Yes. Manager quit August 2 years ago. It was a week and a half before I'm scheduled to go to Vegas to speak. And I called Jim, I called Chad Lundberg, and I said, talk me off this ledge. Here I am. I'm about to leave town, and my father is 82 years old. He doesn't know a darn thing about storage. I can't just do this and leave it. But I've committed to go to Vegas and speak. And they said, all right, you're a U-Haul dealer. First things first, put it on hold. Put U-Haul on hold, and then your storage will be fine. Put a note on the door. You've got a week and a half. Go ahead. Start limiting your hours. Running remotely will work. Start limiting your hours and training your customers that you don't have to be there for them to rent units, make payments. You don't have to be there. Your phone still rings. You have a call center. You're set up. Just put U-Haul on hold. That's where you're going to have trouble. And I was like, the whole time I was in Vegas, I got one phone call, and I was checking messages, responding. It went well. Came back. It was nice having U-Haul on hold, and I ended up dropping U-Haul. But what I did learn, for me, and I have a manager again, but she is part-time. I needed someone to focus on the deal with the collections while I go and do the fixing of the units, and just she cleans stuff out, but she could stay up on collection calls, and it really worked out for me because she said, I want to work 10 to 4 while my kids are in school. I said, this is going to work great. And she just celebrated her 1-year anniversary yesterday.
Nice.
I can tell you for us, we have 26 stores. I got 4 offices. 22 of my stores run remotely. We sell locks with every unit. We have a high percentage for protection plans. It works. If you set your systems up the right way, if you use the technology the right way, and as Max said, you train your customers the right way, it will work.
You don't let the inmates run the asylum.
Hey, you got that from me.
we have horror stories to tell for that. I want to be mindful of everyone's time. So we've been going for an hour, and it goes by fast. Going for an hour here. I'm thinking, again, this is for the first time. What do you think, Jim? So far, so good?
I like it. I like the interaction with everybody. I like the questions popping in. I like, again, Jim, I love being able to help people. So, I mean, that's why I do the consulting. That's why you do the consulting, out there. We have a lot of knowledge between us. I mean, how many years between us, Jim? I got 24. How many you got?
26.
So 50 years between the two of us.
No, that's a good thing. No, yeah.
So.
But no, seriously, I think this will be fun. I have it scheduled for every other week. just as we're kind of filling things out, because you know, there's again, it's not just us. There's plenty of webinars and summits and other things that are happening. I think that every other week cadence will be fantastic. If you're game,
Yep.
I'm game.
I think we also open it up to, you know, have people submit questions for topics.
Yes.
You know, add it to your wheel. We keep adding questions to the wheel and see what happens.
No, for sure. This is a little test program, a little pilot program. So as you're live, cool, ask questions, but also to blast out to everyone, you know, thanking you. If you have any future questions, great. Personally, I'd be like, hey, if you're on here, invite 2 people. See if we can get, you know, a couple other people to come on for next time. It'd be what I envision. Hopefully this kind of turns into is more of like a community kind of a thing, frankly.
Hey,
You know,
did you
not
say you're going to be at ISS?
What's that?
Are you at ISS this year?
Yeah.
We need to do something live at ISS.
If they'll let us.
We'll find a spot. I don't care.
There's a fine line you got to play with that kind of stuff. I've been there down that path before, but yeah, if we can, that'd be kind of fun. We can do a meetup impromptu Q&A type stuff. We'll figure it out.
Yep.
But want to be mindful of everyone's time. Thank you so much for jumping on this first one. We'll get more email blasts about the next one that we'll be doing, and I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.
Have a great one, Jim. Talk to you soon. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Hope everyone found it helpful, and you can always reach out to us anytime with other questions.
You got it. Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Before we wrap up, just a quick reminder. Do you want to level up your storage game? Visit theselfstorageshow.com. Grab some high-value freebies, check out top vendor spotlights, and stay in the loop with our newsletter. Do you want to chat about becoming a client with 3 Mile Storage Management? All the info's there. Plus, if you've got a story to share, we're listening. Everything you need is at theselfstorageshow.com.